Gittin,
Yeah.
we have Zion Vav. If one said, "How here is your get on condition that you will serve my father, or on condition that you nurse my son, how long must you nurse him?" 2 years. Rabbi Yehuda says 18 months. If the son died or the father died, it is a get. If he said, "Here is your get on condition that you serve my father for 2 years, or on condition that you nurse my son for 2 years," and the son died, or the father died, or the father said, "I do not want you to serve me," when he was not in anger, it is not a get. Shimon ben Gamil says, in a case like this, it is a get. A rule was stated by Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel: in any case of an impediment which is not because of her, it is a get. If one said, "Here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days," and he was going from Judea to Galilee, and he reached Antipatris, and he returned, his condition is null. If he said, "Here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days," he was going to Galilee to Judea, and he reached Kafar Asna and returned, his condition is null. If he said, "Here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days," and he was going overseas, and he reached Akko and returned, his condition is null. If he said, "Here is your get, any time that I shall be away from your presence for 30 days," and he was going and coming and going and coming, since he was not alone with her, it is a get. It once said, "This is your get, I did not come within 12 months," and he died within 12 months, it is not a get. If he said, "Here is your get from now, if I do not come within 12 months," and he died within 12 months, it is a get. Okay.
Okay. Tess, im lo basi mikan ad 12 chodesh. Kisvu utnu get leishti. So he says to his witnesses, his friends, if I haven't come back within 12 months, then please write a get and give it to my wife. Okay. So what did they do? They said, okay, well, let's just get it prepared. Kasvu get besoch 12 chodesh. They wrote the get within the 12 months. And after 12 months, he hadn't come back. And asnu la'achar 12 chodesh. So that's when they gave it to his wife. So what do you think is going to be the situation? Remember, we said that the get itself is not just the handing over, it's the writing of the get has also got to be properly lishma. And they did it at a time when he said, don't, after 12 months, write the get and give it to my wife. So when they wrote the get for 12 months, they violated the shlichus. That's not a valid get. So even though he gave it, he wanted it to be given after 12 months, but for some reason he must have wanted it only to be written after 12 months. What happens if he changes his phrasing slightly? He says, Kisfu tnu get ishti im lo basi mikan va'ad 12 chodesh. So all of this is going to be a question of where he put the comma. Okay, write and give a get to my wife if I haven't come back after 12 months. Because now now that the condition is at the end, does the condition apply only to the last action or to all the actions? Okay, so if I haven't come back after 12 months, right? So the first time it says kasu besoch 12 chodesh v'nasnu la'achar 12 chodesh eino get. So the Tanna Kama says not a get. However, Rabbi Yossi Omer kazeh get. No, he says the condition was only attached to the last part of the statement, and therefore they were allowed to write the get anytime they wanted to. Okay, but the halacha does not follow Rabbi Yossi here. Katsu la'achar 12 chodesh v'nasnu la'achar 12 chodesh v'meis. Okay, so they did exactly as they were told. They wrote the get after 12 months and they gave it after 12 months, and then they get news that the guy has actually died. So now we need to know halachically, is she a divorcee or is she a widow, which obviously has lots of different ramifications. Okay. Im haget kadam lamisa. If they handed over the get before he died, hareza get. Im hamisa kadam laget aino get. And of course, if he died before the get was given, it's not a get. But the big question is im ein yadua. We don't know. We just know he's dead. We just know that the get was given, but we don't know which came first. Zohi she'amru megoreshes ve'ena megoreshes. She is divorced and she's not divorced. In other words, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the chumrah in every position, which means that she's not going to be allowed to marry a kohen. She's not going to be allowed to do yibum with her brother-in-law, but she's going to need a chalitza because maybe she is a widow. Okay, so all these cases we're going to have to find the chumrah in every case because of the suffix. At least on every suffix deraisa. Okay. Tes Aleph. Ha zorek get leishto. All right. Now, in terms of when a woman receives the get, She has to receive it either into her hand or into something into a place that will acquire it on her behalf. Um, so, for example, in her own property, as we'll see right now. So he throws the get to his wife instead of handing it over, and she is in her own house, or in other words, she's in a property that's a nichse melug. She brought it into the marriage, and he has the right of usage, but it doesn't become his. Okay, so he has the right of usage, but it's her property. So she's inside this property, or or in a courtyard. Hooray, Zor Megaresha. So she's looking, she's standing nearby, and the thing lands in her property. So she sees it landing in her property. Then she automatically acquires it now that she has seen it landing in her property. And this is now a valid divorce. She has effectively received her get. What happens? What happens if it's in his property? Or besoch chatzero, his courtyard. Afilu hi ima b'mita, even if they're together in his bed. Okay, einat megareshes. So his bed cannot acquire it for her until she actually picks it up. She's not divorced. As, obviously, this is like a matter of seconds in between, when she actually picks it up. But what happens if he now has a heart attack and dies on the spot? Did she receive her get before he died? Did she not? So this is where it could come into a question. Okay. Lesoch chayka or lesoch kalta, if he puts it into her lap, or if it falls into her basket, this is considered her daled amas, even if she's inside his property, and even if it's his basket, but she has the right, since she is using his basket to do whatever, and then that basket acquires it for her. Hooray, Zomegareshes. So this is now a valid get. Mishna Beis Amar la kinsi shtarchov zeh. So now when the husband divorces his wife, he's supposed to tell her verbally, here's your get, and then so that when she receives it, she knows that this is her get. Okay. And now, for whatever reason, the husband's shy. The husband doesn't is afraid to break it to his wife. He says, "Yeah, I've got this shtarchov. Take this, please." And she takes it from him. Or he turns around and says, "Here, take this thing," and whatever it is, he isn't clear with her what this document is. She takes it, unrolls it, looks at it, and says, "Whoa, this is a get. This is not a get." Ad sheyomar la hegitech. Now he can say to it after she's received it. Once she's looking at it, and he says to her, "This is your get." Then okay, then now it's clear that she hasn't just picked up a document, and he has made his intention clear that he wants to give it to her. Okay. Nasan biyada v'hi yeshena. He puts it into her hands while she's sleeping. Okay, and now she wakes up. Get again. She's just woken up and found this get in her hands. Eino get ad sheyomar la hegitech. He has to say it to her while she's awake. Haisa omedis b'rishus harabim. Now we're in the rishus harabim where it's nobody's property, and he throws the get towards her. Okay. Karovla, if it's in a place where only she has control of it. So, for example, in the Dalit Amas around her feet, then she has control around it, and therefore it karovla, that is hers, and she is considered divorced. Karov law, if it's too close to him, if it's closer to him, then he hasn't handed it over. Enamagareshus. By the way, it also doesn't mean it could also be in a situation where they're on two sides of a stream, and he throws it to the other side, and it doesn't even if it's not within her daladamas, but she's the only person who could reach it. It could that can also work. Okay. Mechza al mechza. What happens if they're in the Rishus Harabim and he throws it, and it's in between them, and neither of them has got control over it? Megareshes ve'ena megareshes. We're not sure if she's got control or if he's got control. Once again, it's a situation where we're not sure if she's divorced or not. Of course, she can resolve it within a second by going over and picking it up.
Right.
But if the situation freezes at that point, or a dog runs through, grabs the star and runs away, now we have a situation where she's in a suffix.
Okay. All right.
All right. By the way, this comment on this is that Me'ikar Adin, she is supposed to receive it only into her hands, but Chazal extended the area that can acquire it for her in just to make sure that she's not left in Aguna, because we're always afraid that the husband's going to become recalcitrant and decide that he doesn't want to give her a get anymore. And now she's got her freedom. Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
We
Aleph.
are. Mhm. Hey, hey, Aleph. Victims of damages are paid by assessing them for the superior fields, lenders with the fields of medium quality, and a woman's basuba, the fields of the poorest quality. Meir says also a woman's kasuba is paid with fields of medium quality. Payment may not be taken from assigned property if there is an unsigned property available. Even if they are of poorest quality, payment for the property of orphans may be taken over from fields of the poorest quality. Payment may not be elected for the consumption of produce or for that of the improvement of property, for the support of the wife and daughters from assigned property, for the sake of the general good. One who finds a lost article and need not swear for the sake of the general good. All right.
And also, yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
We're on to Sota. Sota. Okay. Aleph Chet. Shimshon swallowed his eyes, therefore the Philistines pierced his eyes, and it is stated, and the Philistines took hold of him and pierced his eyes. Absalom qualified in his hair, and therefore he was hung by his hair. And inasmuch as he cohabitated with the 10 concubines of his father, 10 lances were thrust into him, as it is stated, and 10 men bearers of Joab's armor circled him. And inasmuch as he stole 3 hearts, the heart of his father, the heart of the court, and the heart of Israel, it is stated, Shimshon stated, so Absalom sold the hearts of the men of Israel. Therefore, 3 darts were thrust into him, as it is stated, and Joab took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them into Absalom's heart. And so too for good. Miriam waited for Moses 1 hour, and as it stated, and his sisters stationed herself from afar. Therefore, Israel delayed for her 7 days in the desert, as it is stated, and the people did not travel until Miriam was brought in. Joseph was privileged to bury his father, and none of his brothers were greater than he, as it is stated. So Joseph went up to bury his father, and he brought with him both chariots and horsemen, who were treated with much honor as Joseph, that none other than Moshe attended to him. Moshe was privileged to attend to the bones of Joseph, and there was no home in great Israel greater than him, as it is stated. And Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him. He who was treated with greater honor than Moses, none but the Almighty attended to him, as it is stated, and he buried him in the valley. And not of Moses alone did they say so, but all the righteous, as it is stated, and your righteousness shall go before you, and the glory of Hashem shall gather you in. Um, no. He brought her milk offering in an Egyptian basket and put it in her hands, and so as to tire her. All the milk offerings start and finish in service vessels, but this one starts in an Egyptian basket and finishes in service vessels. All milk offerings require oil and frankincense, but this one requires neither oil nor frankincense. All milk offerings are of wheat flour, but this one is barley flour. The milk offering of the homer of barley flour is of sifted flour, but this one is of unsifted flour. Rabbi Hamil says this is what Jews were like those of an animal, so too offering is from the food of animals. He brought a new earthenware cup and put it in half a log of water from the kior into it. Rabbi Yehuda says a quarter of a log, just as he minimizes the amount of writing required, so too he minimizes the amount of water required. He enters the sanctuary and turns to his right, where there was one spot, 1 cubit by 1 cubit, and a marble flagstone with a ring fixed
Oh,
in
hold
it.
on. Sorry, we've overshot. We've gone. Yeah, we are supposed to stop after Mishnah Aleph.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry. Okay. Kosubas.
Yevamos first. Let's finish Yevamos and then we'll do
Oh,
Ketubos.
um, we have, there we go. There we go. Ted Vav Zion. No,
Uh,
Ted
uh,
Vav. Witnesses may testify even if they saw by lamplight and moonlight that we permit marriage on the basis of a voice, except for Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. I said to him, "This is correct," and he said to me, "Tell them in my name, you know the country is in turmoil because of ravaging troops. I have a tradition from Rabbi Gamliel the elder that we permit a woman to be married by the testimony of a single witness. When I came and presented the matter before Rabbi Gamliel, he rejoiced at my words and said, we have found a companion for Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. As a result for the exchange, Rabbi Gamliel recalled that some men had once been killed in Tel Azza, Azra, Az, and Rabbi Gamil, the elder, had permitted the wives to remarry on the testimony of a single witness. And then it then became established to permit marriage on the testimony of a single witness, and it became established to permit marriage and remarriage on a testimony of one witness, quoting another, and on a testimony of a slave, a woman, and a slave woman. Rabbi Eliah and Rabbi Yeshua say, we do not permit a woman to remarry by the testimony of a single witness. Rabbi Akiva says, not by the testimony of a woman, a slave or slave woman, or relatives. They said to him, there was once an incident where some Levium joined into Zohar, the city of date palms, and one of them fell during the journey, and they brought him to an inn. On the return trip, they said to the woman innkeeper, where is our companion? She said, he died and I buried him. And they permitted his wife to remarry. They said to him, shouldn't the wife of a Kohen be as good as a woman innkeeper? He replied, when the woman innkeeper is believed, the woman's keeper brought out to them his staff, his baggage, and his Torah scroll and his possession.
Adjon Allah, Masech Yesivavos. And one from Kesubos.
Oh. Aleph Aleph. A virgin is married on Wednesday and a widow on Thursday. For twice a week, the courts are in session in the towns on Mondays and Thursdays, so that if he had a claim concerning their virginity, he would go early and the next morning to court.
Okay. Shabbos.
And test of science. We may invert a bell over a lamp in order that it not set fire to a beam, or over feces because of a child, or over a caustic beam that is not sting. Rabbi Yehuda said an incident came before Rabbi Zochanan ben Zakkai, an Arab, and he said, I fear for him that he is liable for a sin offering. If a Gentile lit a lamp, a Jew may use his light, but if he did not so for a few Jew, he may not use it. If a Gentile drew water to water his own animal, the Jew may water the animal after him. But if he did so for a Jew, he may not use it. If a Gentile made a gangway in which to disembark, a Jew may disembark after him. But if he did so for a Jew, he may not use it. Once it happened that Rabbi Gamil and the others were riding on a ship, and a Gentile made a gangway by which to disembark, and Rabbi Gamil and the others disembarked on it. And we have all utensils may be taken on the Sabbath and their doors with them, even though they may be detached on the Sabbath, but they are not like house doors, which are not prepared.
Okay.
And we have Horus. The wife of a the wife of a Chava, the wife of an Amoritz, grinding in her house. If the mill stopped, everything in the house is tamei. If the mill did not stop and nothing in the house is tamei except for those items in the area that she can stretch out her hands and touch. If there were two women within either case, everything in the house is tamei, since one grinds and one examines. These are the words of Reb Meir. But they came and say nothing in the house is tamei except for those items in the house, the area where they can stretch out their hand and punch and touch. If someone leaves an arts in the house to guard it when he can see those who enter and those who have left, who leave, the food, drink, and open earthenware vessels are tamei, but the beds, seats, and sealed earthenware are tahor. But if he cannot see those who enter or those who leave, even if an arts guard has it to be carried, or even if it is bound, everything is tamei. If the Kaksalak has entered the house, everything in the house is tamei. But if there's an idolater with them, they are believed to say, we have not entered, but they are not believed to say, we have entered, but we have not touched. If thieves entered into a house, nothing in the house is tamei except for those items in the area where the thieves walk. What do they render? Tamei, the food, the drinks, and earthenware vessels. But the beds, seats, and sealed earthenware vessels are tahor. It was an idolater and that, or woman, and with them everything in the house is tamei. Okay,
Okay.
Test Daled. One may mix together the libation offerings of rams with those of bulls, the libation offerings of lambs with those of lambs, those of an individual with those of the community, and those of today with those of yesterday. But one may not mix together the libation offerings of lambs with those of bulls and rams. If he combines the ingredients of each of them separately and they can then mix together, they are valid. If before they were combined, they are invalid. The lamb which comes with the Omer offering, although the size of the zinc offering is doubled, its libations are not doubled. All the measures which were in the temple were heaped, except for that of the Kohen Gadol, which was heaped within. The overflow of the liquid measure is sanctified, but the overflow of the dry measure is not sanctified. Rabbi Akiva says the liquid measures are consecrated before the overflow is sanctified. The dry measures are not consecrated before the overflow is not sanctified. Yossi said it is not for this reason. Rabbi, because the liquid is displaced where the solid is not displaced. All communal and individual sacrifices require libation offerings except for the Bakah offerings, the Masa offerings, the Pesach offering, the Katas offering, and the Ashram offering. However, the Katas offering of a Mitzvah and the Ashram offering do require libation offering.
Okay.
Oh,
Have
we
a
finished
wonderful
it
day.
right on time. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.